Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast. We are on podcast episode 29. 30 is coming soon. Super excited in regards to the growth. And when I say growth, I'm not always speaking of the number of subscribers. Um, I'm speaking of the community effect. Literally, I had some of you all reach out to me this week to see if I was okay, what I was up to, because you haven't been hearing from me on the text thread uh, like maybe in prior weeks. And that's because I have been busy. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about on the on this tonight's episode, on this episode. So I'm going to let you all know what I've been up to real estate wise, and been doing a lot of networking virtually and over the phone. Um, Also, been investing a lot of time into into a niche that I'll share with you all in a moment, and also working on getting deals to the closing table right now. Between myself and students, I'm helping students and myself. We have about 3 to 4 deals scheduled to close this month. So that's a beautiful thing. Um, so let's get started. Let's jump into it. It's an article I definitely have to read to you, and I promise you tonight, I'm not going to hold you all, even though I know some of you love when I go over 30 minutes. I'm not going to do that to you tonight. Okay, so welcome back, folks. Welcome to the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast, where we pride ourselves on sharing, informing, educating, and growing a community with actionable information, content, and resources that you can actually start experiencing results with. Quick disclaimer, folks, remember to do your own research, and my content is intended to be used for informational and sometimes even entertainment purposes only. It is very important that you do your own due diligence before making any investment based on your own personal financial circumstances. You should research and verify anything that I say, and also consult with a licensed professional. So, folks, I'm just a real estate investor. I'm a real estate wholesaler. I'm a local government foreclosure investor, and I happen to mentor uh, quite quite a quite a many people since my start in the education business of 2007. Um, so I can say I've been around the block a few times, and I can also say that a lot of my clients have closed deals. A lot of my clients have become financially free. A lot of my clients have even became millionaires, whether that's on paper or in their bank accounts. So I don't know if I have any billionaire clients yet, past clients, but I'm sure I will see the day when one of my former students have become multi billionaires. I know it's going to happen. So let's jump right in to what we are going to talk about. Before we got the disclaimer out of the way, I got to shout out. There's still some folks trying to get in. I have to shout out Jennifer Jordan, who has been working diligently since last week on getting her first deal to the closing table. You all will hear more and more of how her deal is unraveling. It's not at the settlement table yet. It's scheduled to settle this month. Definitely want to shout out Jennifer. Keep working diligently on getting that deal closed. Also, I want to shout out Tim Perry. Tim Perry is working on 2 local government foreclosures. He's also working on a potential development project in West Baltimore. I'd also like to shout out Chris Mcrae, and I want to give us another shout out to Kwani Avondale. Folks, these are Freedom and Wealth Seekers that are either in my academy or in my one-on-one coaching program. that I work with throughout each and every month. And they're really all really self-sufficient. They know how to go out and prospect. They know how to evaluate deals, and they know how to invest for the most part. And everybody that I just mentioned is at different levels. Tim Perry, over 25 years of investing experience. Okay. But he still understands the importance of investing in his education, own multiple apartment buildings. Right now, he's building a portfolio in the Baltimore marketplace, and he's an out of town real estate investor. He's not from Baltimore. Okay, Jennifer Jordan, she's a school teacher, just got started in real estate. Chris Mcrae, a successful entrepreneur, has been in real estate for a few years. Every Quaney Avenue, Avondale, he is just starting over the last year in real estate as well. So everybody that I work with, and this has been the fact since I started teaching in 2007, I started coaching people that had been in real estate longer than me. Okay, back in 2007 when I was like a 25, 26-year-old kid, right? So definitely wanted to acknowledge those folks. What have I been up to? Well, I don't know if I mentioned on the last episode, actually one of my former clients had contacted me who relocated to Delaware and was actually liquidating some of her Baltimore properties. She called me about 2 properties. I evaluated the deals, actually sent offers over, but we just couldn't come to an agreement. And that's the business. That's how it happens. Sometimes in this business, you're not always going to agree on price. You're not always going to agree on price. But I also had some properties of my own that I got some interest in from some investors, and we're all looking at the news. And like I said on previous episodes, I don't know where the real estate market is headed. I'm not saying it's a crash, but I have shared some indicators that I recognize from the past recession that I'm seeing today. From gas prices to a slowdown in the housing market. These are all indicators. And one thing I learned a long time ago in this business is that I'm gonna keep it frank. Pigs get slaughtered. All right. At the end of the day. At the end of the day. So in my younger days, I would want to rehab every single house that I owned or put under contract to sell. And what I learned from that experience is that's not what you want to do, because it depending on who you are as a real estate investor, you can only manage but so much. And also depending on who is on your team. So your contractors, and knowing if I got a full gut rehab that I need to start, and I'm borrowing money from X, Y, and Z lender, and my contractor is actually doing 2 or 3 other full gut rehabs, how is he or she gonna have the time to manage another one, 5? Okay, because I want y'all to write this down. As real estate investors, we aren't the only people that can become overextended. The people on our teams can become overextended. And I'm talking about title companies. I'm talking about contractors, even lenders. I've seen private lenders lend themselves out of the business. Okay. And I always like asking questions, or asking my lenders questions about the current lending environment. So I actually talked to one of my lenders about a property that I own, and I wanted to see if he would be interested in loaning money. And this is what he said. He said, Marcel, I really like doing business with you, but right now we're trying to wait and see what this economy is going to do. So we're holding cash right now. This is from a multimillionaire, okay, that has loaned me money many, many years, and he is not loaning me money right now. All right. Now, does that mean I can't get money for deals? No, because there are a lot of other lenders that are lending. But when I hear people, and I didn't just hear that from him. Over the last 6 months, there are groups of lenders who've been in this business 20, 30 years, the lending business, that are now holding on to their capital. And the lenders that I see lending, they're more the institutional lenders. When I say private, these are private individuals. But there is a lot of institutional money out in the marketplace. And when I'm speaking from my marketplace, all right. And there are some hard money lenders that are lending. Now, from my past experience dealing with lenders, I've seen lenders lend themselves out of business. I mean, they overextended themselves. They lent on properties that they shouldn't have, or they lent on properties where the investor didn't execute on the plan for whatever reason. All right. And sometimes that happens. Like the lenders run out of money. If you have $1 million and you loan 10 people $100,000, you're now out of capital. You don't have any more money to lend, right? Now, the goal, the plan is that all 10 investors fix up the properties, sell the properties, or refinance the properties, and you get your capital back. But the problem is if you lent out all your money, and they say the language that lenders use is that, I have all my money out in the street. If any of those investors fail, that lender isn't getting their capital back immediately. It's going to take time. It may take court proceedings. It may take a number of years. Okay. So understand that lenders can become overextended. Now, I did reach out. One of the other conversations I had, and it's speaking of that lender, he's going to be featured in Direct Mail Wednesday. I actually just asking questions. When you ask questions, you gather data, you gather information, right? So I called Jack up. I said, "Hey, Jack, what are you guys holding any non-performing notes?" And these are non-performing mortgages, right? And he said no. And that was a good sign, because this is a lender that has a lot of loans all over the country. And maybe he just told me that because maybe he signed confidentiality agreements. I don't know what the lending world is like. And they have grown their business from really a mom and pop shop to a nationwide multi-billion-dollar banking institution. But I know I've known this guy almost 20 years, and I appreciate him. Even though he's got a big building downtown now, he still answers my texts, just like the old days when I first started in the business. But when he said that, I said, wow, they have a really great business model, and they're very good at lending. And I know why, because they have over 30 years of real estate experience, of buying and selling property, of renting property. Okay. Every lender is not going to be as good as the next lender. Everybody's like every investor is not going to be good as the next investor, but it shows that they're responsibly lending money responsibly. Okay. And it also tells me how the market is right now. It seems healthy just from that text conversation. That means there are not a lot of foreclosures out there. That means values are going to, just from that conversation, values are staying pretty much the same. They're not really drastically dropping. Okay. It's a healthy real estate market right now. So that's just a conversation I had briefly this week. And that's what I've been up to. I've been jumping all in on local government foreclosures. I literally have over 100 potential local government foreclosures that I can purchase, that my students can purchase. If you follow me on social media, I actually, if you're in my close friends and family, you actually saw the clip of my son and I. We were on a little field trip yesterday, and I had to take a call with a client, and I explained to my client, who was just getting started, that tax sale certificates would probably be the best place and safest place for you to start. And there's several reasons why. I'll think episode 30 I'll dedicate to local government foreclosures, because this is the season to start building wealth with those. They're very exciting. Yet most people don't take the time to learn how to invest the right way in tax sale certificates, or they have this belief that it takes too long. I don't care how long, it could take me 5 years. If I invest my money in a city or county in the United States, and if it takes me 5 years to become the owner of a property free and clear, I will do that every single chance I get. Every single chance I get. Now, this is a 41-year-old real estate investor with 20 years of experience in the business. I wouldn't have made that statement 20 years ago, though. I'd have been like, oh, it takes too long. It takes too long. That's what I would have been telling myself. 5 years goes like that, ladies and gentlemen. And it ain't taking 5 years. 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, maybe 16 to 18 months. And now you're the owner of a property free and clear. Okay. And it's one thing for me to say this to you all, right? For the people to watch the recording on YouTube. But it's another thing when I start bringing people just like you who follow the system that I teach, and now they're acquiring free and clear assets worth tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars that they've acquired for pennies on the dollar through the local government foreclosure process. And I'm excited because I'm going to start bringing some of my clients on to share their success stories and what they've recently been able to do. And also, as these deeds start rolling in on my side, I'm going to create case studies of each property that I acquire free and clear, and each certificate that has been redeemed and I've earned my legal fees back and my interest. Okay. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the video. I'm sitting on the steps of one of my properties, and I opened up an envelope, and there's a check in there for about $11,000. That was from a tax sale certificate, local government foreclosure, that I purchased for $6,500, less than a year before I received that check. So I want to jump into the news for today. The real estate news, of course. And we all know what we do when we read the news, right? We look for opportunities. And that's what the lesson is today as we go into Freedom and Wealth Seeker lesson number 4. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to really skim through this article. I'm going to read as much as I can, but I really want you all to, matter of fact, I'll put the link in the chat so you guys, ladies and gentlemen, don't have to search for it. So let me go ahead and put the link in the chat for everybody. Take a look at this on your leisure. Let's go into this. A New Yorker bets big on Baltimore's vacant homes. It's going to be crazy down here. All right, there's a picture of this young guy. I'll get to his name in a second. But this article was in the Baltimore Sun. Now, for some reason, I wasn't able to log into my Baltimore Sun account, but this is basically everything that was said in that article in the Baltimore Sun. Members of a community development group gathered outside of a vacant West Baltimore row house on a cloudy winter morning, preparing for an auction when a stranger in his 20s showed up with a New York accent and a slick back hair. Okay, as the auctioneer called out bids for the 6 vacant homes in the 27 and 2800 blocks of West North Avenue in Coppin Heights, the man began bidding aggressively, and the community development group members grew worried. They had been eyeing the abandoned properties along the 3-block stretch for years, hoping to reverse the declining homeownership rate in this predominantly Black neighborhood. Many of the once grand row houses along the corridor are vacant and crumbling. They are among the more than 15,000 vacant houses in Baltimore that many investors and developers long avoided, often requiring so much money to fix that they weren't worth buying, but not anymore. The price of vacant homes in Baltimore is rising, and more investors and developers are taking note. The Coppin Heights Community Development Corp scooped up 4 vacant row houses in a single block for less than $10,000 apiece at a March 2021 auction. But at January's auction, Mcrae, the man from New York, outbid the competition, driving the price of vacants up $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Now I'm going to stop right there, and I want you all to read the rest, right? Now, when I was in my 20s, I was very confident, still am today, but I was definitely a risk taker. Okay. And I would pay over what I should have paid, things of that nature. There's a lot to this article. Now, I believe, because I did my research on this guy is a very smart, sharp investor, and he has a great team behind him. Because through my research, he has millions of dollars behind him through what I believe is private money, private investors. I also read somewhere that they're looking to hold the properties long term. They're not just going to be looking to sell immediately. And that my advice to him would be not to sell immediately, right? I've brung on several experts over the last 2 years from around the country to talk to my students. And one thing that rings a bell, that rung a bell when I was reading up on this gentleman, is that the United States is becoming a rental country. More and more people will be renting as time goes on than owning their properties, because incomes aren't keeping up with inflation. We're seeing it today. Incomes aren't keeping up with home prices, right? So I'm seeing this, and I'm also gleaming back on my experience, looking at cities like Washington, D.C., and noticing some similarities. And I remember when I was in my 20s, there were a lot of investors from New York coming down to Washington, D.C. to buy real estate. All right. There were a lot of people moving from New York to buy real estate in D.C. That's what the conversations were like in my 20s in the investor spaces that I frequented. All right. So when I see this, I posted this on social media today. This is a sign that he ain't the only investor that's going to be coming to Baltimore to raise prices. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if this guy is going to be successful or not in his endeavor here, but there is a strong chance that he will be, especially if he sticks to fundamentals. I don't care, and what the article read, if you all recall, it said some of these properties need more money than what the house is worth. And that just goes to show that the person writing the article doesn't know real estate. Because if the gentleman Shay takes 200,000 and to renovate one of those houses he paid 50,000 for, in the next 20 years, that property will appreciate in value. It's inevitable. Not to mention, if the game plan is to rent the property out or break the properties into multiple units, because these are 3-4-story properties that we're talking about here on North Avenue, next to a developing university, all right, next in a community where there is home ownership development taking place, that's a smart investment long term. And the writer doesn't know. All they are going off of witnessing what they saw at the auction, right? They don't know the terms of the funding that he's getting. This could be, he could have lenders that are loaning him money for the next 20, 30 years. Who knows, right? Who knows? But I had to share this because it shows the value in real estate. And this is happening, I'm sharing it because it's happening in my local marketplace. Folks, this is happening in Charlotte, Raleigh, North Carolina. This is happening in some of the small towns around the country. Definitely happening in Atlanta, Philadelphia, different parts of New Jersey, different parts of Texas, Oakland, California. This is taking place in metro cities all around the country. The main purpose for this podcast is to create awareness and to create a platform where you can gain information or gain access to the information you need to execute and play in this game of real estate, this real life monopoly. Because people from all over the world are coming into these metro cities and they're investing, okay? They're not taking over, they're investing. But if you sit on the sidelines for the next 5 to 10 years, you're gonna look back and say, wow, they really took over that neighborhood. But you could have had a hand in it. You could have had a hand in it, but it's about investing in your education. So we're gonna go into Direct Mail Wednesday, right? And this is a mail piece from my buddy Jack. Oh, it's blank on this side. It's not on this side, right? This is a guy of Jack I text today. Really great mail piece. This is a long form sales letter. Now, most people don't know this is a sales letter because most people ain't into marketing, right? So Jack sends me this beautiful sales letter. It's really good, really professional. And it has all of the pieces you need in a direct response marketing piece. Now, this is the most recent direct mail piece Jack's company sent me. And it reads, wholesale real estate. You probably worked pretty hard to find the deal you just sold on 5006 Patterson Avenue. You shouldn't have to work hard to find the money to do the deal, right? So he's assuming it took me some time to find the money to do the deal. It really didn't, Jack, but I get where you're going at with this, because this is one of the letters Jack sent to gain, he sends out to gain clients for his lending business, right? But it goes on and says, let's face it, almost every lender these days can compete in terms of interest and points. If you're shopping solely for the best rate, you'll find no difference between me and all the largest competitors. In fact, I'll bet that I can beat most in terms of interest rates and points, but don't you deserve more than just a lower interest rate? So he goes into a benefit. He's leading me into a benefit. And then he tells me what I'm thinking. This is a genius, Jack. Of course you do. I'm Jack Bevere, co-owner of Dominion Financial Services. Investors from all over the United States have chosen Dominion because we offer big company rates while also delivering small company, highly personal service. And today was a testament to that. I'm not borrowing any money from Jack right now, but he still responds to me on a personal level. And I believe that's one of their secrets to success. I believe that's one of their secrets to success because they have a personal touch. And when he mentioned they didn't have any non-performing notes, that means their mortgages are performing. People are paying their mortgages. That tells me that they have a personal touch with their business. So it goes on to read, as a pre-approved borrower, you'll get personal service, speed, terms that are flexible. It also says, it reminds me of why they sent this letter. So let me get this right. You bought 5006 Patterson Avenue. This means they did their homework for $1,000 and you sold it for 85,000. So they looked up the records of one of my transactions. I obviously don't know your rehab costs, but I do know I'd love to be your lender if all your deals look like this. So remember I mentioned the word data previously? And if you follow me on social media, one of my last posts today was about an oil change. And basically my business, I left a company I've been with for 11 years. And I'm keeping up now 11 years. I've been giving this company about $205 a month. So you do the math. This is for educational purposes only. This company, this is what I use to send emails out to my prospective students, to people like yourselves. You probably received them. I was with this company, aweber.com, and the way technology is moving, I'm now moving away from them. And I'm going to more data driven, and not saying they don't have the things I need, but I believe they can't service me the way some of these other platforms that I've been using for the last year or two are now servicing me. But I love Dave Weber. They helped me build a really big education company. I've been able to serve a lot of people successfully with AWeber, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on. But and I share that with you just to let you all know, like, when you get into this business, I don't care if it's the real estate side or the education side, you have to invest in your tools. And if you go to my IG and look at my story, there's a letter from the customer service, from the support team, saying, we miss you. You spent 11 years with us. I just put that up to show you have to make a commitment to your vision and to yourself to use the tools readily available to you to help grow your business. And I told a little story. I started out with yahoo.com. And then I built a subscriber list of 28,000 people, and Yahoo wasn't allowing me to send emails anymore. So I went with that company. But that's not the only email company I use. I also use a company called Constant Contact. So I look at Jack's letter here, and I know he's using some type of data provider. He's investing in his company in some of the best data when they're telling me what I paid for a property. He's not doing this manually. He's sending this out to hundreds of investors, okay? And how I know this, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. Getting your Dominion investor line of credit of up to $2.5 million is easy and 100% free, but don't wait. And then he says, my company, Wholesale Real Estate, make a quick 5-minute call, right? And we go on their website, they talk about how they've loaned billions of dollars since they've been in business around the United States. And they have examples of the deals they've loaned money on. But again, data. And we're going to talk about data in some of the upcoming episodes. If you're curious about where to find the best data, well, uspropertysearch.com is a company that I've been using almost now for 5 years. uspropertysearch.com, that allows me to make some of the smartest decisions when it comes to purchasing property, because it tells me everything I need to know. It tells me what the current mortgage is. It tells me how much properties in that neighborhood are going for. It tells me who the owners are. It tells me how many properties any owner that I look up owns. It gives me phone numbers to those property owners. It gives me mailing addresses. And it's always updating new features. I'll probably be using, you see how I'm committed to technology services in my industries. Constant Contact, I've been with them over 15 years. AWeber, I started teaching in 2007. I hired AWeber 2010, 2011. All right, it's been 11 years. Now I'm parting ways, but I'm going on to another service that I've already been using. I'm like, oh, I'm spending 200 here, 300 here. Well, I'm gonna continue to spend 200 there, right? We got to cut costs, especially when we're not using certain services. So folks, that's it for tonight, except for the Freedom and Wealth Seeker lesson of the night. The big lesson is, look, I don't know how much a newspaper costs. 50 cents, right? 50 cents, right? I think that's what it costs, right? Heck, if it costs $1. Reading is fundamental. That article I just read, the next step, ladies and gentlemen, the next step is calling that young 20-year-old, finding him on social media somewhere, and selling him on the opportunity to do business with my company, to buy some of my properties without worrying about going to the auction that he's already paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for. Absolute shells. Absolute shells. There are people like that gentleman all around the country that have their own business model, that are successful, that will buy property from you. All you have to do is get the information. The Freedom and Wealth Academy is coming soon, folks. Way cheaper than a car payment. So I'm making something affordable for everybody. I know I can't work with everybody one-on-one. My one-on-one coaching is pricey and it's never going to change. However, I'm opening the doors to the community, and I've created an academy for only $347 a month. Way cheaper than a car payment. That will actually teach you how to invest in local government foreclosures, how to wholesale real estate, how to buy and hold property, how to buy, fix, and flip property. And then I'm going to have a library of special trainers and guests to teach you other niches, from Airbnb to flipping landlords to commercial real estate investing. The sky is the limit, folks. So folks, I'm going to leave you there. We didn't go an hour today. Good. We went 40. But I look forward to seeing you on episode 30 and beyond. And more importantly, looking forward to seeing you at the closing table. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.